What if the greatest thinkers of the Enlightenment and early modern era could walk among us today? In this video, we're using cutting-edge AI to reimagine 10 of history's most brilliant minds, those who unlocked the laws of motion, questioned the nature of existence, championed reason, and laid the foundations of modern science and philosophy. These are the voices that reshaped how we understand the universe, truth, and human nature. Get ready to see them like never before, brought to life in the modern world. Dante Alighieri. A faded fresco shows a solemn man in a laurel wreath holding a copy of the Divine Comedy as flames rise in the background. This medieval depiction of Dante reflects his role as both a poet and a prophet. Painted after his death, it captures the gravitas of the man who guided readers through the Inferno, Purgatory, and Paradise. Dante Alighieri was the father of the Italian language and one of the most influential poets of all time. His Divine Comedy not only defined literary excellence but also served as a sweeping vision of medieval theology, philosophy, and politics. The AI image reveals Dante in sharp detail, intense eyes, weathered skin, and his signature red robe and laurel crown. A visionary whose words still echo through the centuries. Giotto di Bondone. A panel from a cathedral ceiling shows a man with a brush painting angels with unnatural halos and stiff postures. This early depiction of Giotto places him among the saints, emphasizing his divine artistic inspiration rather than his groundbreaking technique. Giotto is widely considered the first great painter of the Italian Renaissance. He broke from Byzantine tradition by introducing realism, emotion, and spatial depth to religious scenes. His frescoes in Assisi and Padua paved the way for generations of artists. The AI reimagines Giotto as a thoughtful artist in a dusty workshop, his eyes focused, hands stained with pigments, a gentle humility beneath his creative genius. Avicenna Ibn Sina. An illustrated manuscript from Persia shows a scholar seated cross-legged with a thick tome in his lap, surrounded by curious students. This miniature portrays Avicenna as a sage of wisdom and medicine, revered by Islamic and European scholars alike. Born in what is now Uzbekistan, Avicenna was a philosopher, physician, and polymath whose canon of medicine was a standard text for centuries. His contributions to logic, metaphysics, and medicine made him a giant of the Islamic Golden Age. Avicenna appears as a serene figure dressed in flowing robes, deep-set eyes reflecting boundless knowledge, a stethoscope of the mind bridging ancient healing with modern insight. Averroes Ibn Rushd. A Moorish manuscript depicts a bearded scholar beneath an arch pointing toward the heavens while debating with fellow philosophers. This image captures Averroes' role as a bridge between ancient Greek thought and the Islamic world. Averroes was a Muslim Andalusian philosopher and jurist, known for his detailed commentaries on Aristotle. His work profoundly influenced both the Islamic world and Christian Europe, shaping scholastic thought and laying the groundwork for the Renaissance. The AI version shows Averroes in modern attire with scholarly robes layered over, a digital tablet in hand, still mid-debate, eyes alive with rational fire. Maimonides. A rare illuminated scroll depicts a Jewish scholar surrounded by symbols of medicine, law, and the Torah. This image reflects Maimonides' multifaceted role as a spiritual leader, legal authority, and physician. Born in Cordoba and later active in Egypt, Maimonides was one of the most important Jewish philosophers of the Middle Ages. His works on Jewish law and ethics, especially the Guide for the Perplexed, had a lasting influence across religions. Reimagined by AI, Maimonides stands tall, wrapped in tradition and intellect, his eyes calm, wisdom radiating from centuries of texts and teachings. Lorenzo de' Medici. A painted portrait shows a nobleman dressed in rich velvet, seated beside classical statues and books. This image exudes power and intellect, a Renaissance prince surrounded by culture. Lorenzo de' Medici, also known as Lorenzo the Magnificent, was the de facto ruler of Florence and a major patron of the arts. Under his reign, the Medici family supported figures like Michelangelo, Botticelli, and Leonardo da Vinci, fueling the explosion of the Renaissance. The AI version captures Lorenzo as a sharp, stylish figure in a modern blazer with Renaissance patterns, his eyes hinting at diplomacy, ambition, and artistic love. Machiavelli. A solemn engraving shows a thin man in a black robe, quill in hand, eyes narrow as if weighing the price of power. Often misunderstood as cynical, this image reflects the political tension of his time. Niccolò Machiavelli was a diplomat, historian, and writer whose work The Prince remains one of the most influential political treatises ever written. He explored power dynamics, statecraft, and human nature with unsettling clarity. Machiavelli reappears through AI as a modern strategist, sharp suit, tablet in hand, smirking slightly, still analyzing the games people play. Raphael. A detail from the School of Athens shows a soft-featured artist standing among philosophers, brush tucked behind his ear. This self-portrait places Raphael among the greatest thinkers of all time, a statement of his talent and influence. Raphael was a master of harmony, composition, and grace in painting. His works, especially his Madonna portraits and Vatican frescoes, defined the High Renaissance and influenced Western art for generations. The AI reimagining of Raphael shows a youthful, thoughtful artist with a sketchpad in hand, timeless in his style as if ready to draw the modern world with Renaissance perfection. Titian. A dark oil painting reveals an older man with a heavy beard, gazing directly at the viewer with fierce pride and layered emotion. Titian's portraits were intimate, powerful, and bold, just like this one. A towering figure of the Venetian Renaissance, Titian revolutionized color and portraiture. His mastery of oil painting allowed him to capture emotion and light in unprecedented ways. Titian appears as a modern-day creative icon, a splash of paint on his sleeve, his sharp gaze showing he still sees the world in rich, vivid color. Albrecht Dürer. A finely detailed woodcut shows a man holding a compass and a sketchpad, eyes focused with mathematical precision. This self-image shows Dürer as the perfect blend of artist and scientist. Albrecht Dürer was the leading artist of the Northern Renaissance. He was a master engraver, painter, and theorist whose works merged Gothic detail with Renaissance ideals. He also contributed to the study of human proportions and geometry in art. AI renders Dürer as a striking figure in a modern studio, his long curls intact, standing among 3D prints, sketches, and a laptop, blending old-world mastery with new-world tech. Johannes Kepler. An aged engraving shows a solemn astronomer with a trimmed beard, compass in hand, standing beside a celestial globe. This image reflects Kepler's identity as both a mystic and a mathematician, gazing into the harmony of the cosmos. Johannes Kepler was a German astronomer and mathematician who discovered the laws of planetary motion. Working with the data of Tycho Brahe, he proved that planets move in elliptical orbits, reshaping our understanding of the solar system and laying the groundwork for Newton's theories. In the AI recreation, Kepler is reimagined as a thoughtful modern physicist, wearing sleek glasses, cosmic diagrams behind him, and eyes lit with wonder for the patterns of the universe. Tycho Brahe. A richly detailed portrait shows a man with a golden nose dressed in noble garments surrounded by astronomical tools. This image captures the eccentric brilliance of Brahe, who lost part of his nose in a duel and replaced it with metal. Tycho Brahe was a Danish nobleman and astronomer who compiled the most accurate planetary observations before the invention of the telescope. His hybrid worldview, blending science and astrology, was central to the astronomical revolution. Tycho is brought into the present with stylish flair, a bold figure with a prosthetic nose surrounded by sleek observational tech, still charting the heavens with precision. Blaise Pascal. A quiet oil portrait shows a pale-faced man with melancholy eyes, seated with papers, a cross, and a mechanical device. This image hints at the duality of Pascal's life between science and deep religious introspection. Blaise Pascal was a French mathematician, physicist, and theologian. He contributed to probability theory, invented an early calculator, and explored the human condition in his Pensées, reflecting on faith, reason, and mortality. In AI's modern reimagining, Pascal sits in a tech lab, hoodie over a button-up, one hand on a microchip, the other on a leather-bound journal, bridging intellect and soul. Baruch Spinoza. An engraving depicts a calm man with soft curls and a black cloak, holding a book open to a page on ethics. This portrayal reflects Spinoza's quiet but revolutionary presence in philosophy. Spinoza was a Dutch philosopher who laid the groundwork for modern biblical criticism and rationalist thought. His magnum opus, Ethics, proposed a vision of God and nature as one and the same, controversial in his time but foundational for secular philosophy. The AI image shows Spinoza as a serene modern thinker, minimalist in dress, standing in front of abstract art and mathematical symbols, a peaceful force of reason and unity. René Descartes. A 17th century painting shows a sharp-featured man in formal attire, gazing inward as if lost in thought. This iconic portrait reflects Descartes' role as the father of modern philosophy. René Descartes was a French philosopher and mathematician best known for the phrase, "I think, therefore I am." He developed Cartesian coordinates, linked geometry with algebra, and emphasized doubt as a path to truth. Descartes reappears in AI as a clean-cut intellectual in a modern study, a whiteboard behind him scribbled with equations and philosophical paradoxes, eyes full of inquiry. Voltaire. A finely detailed engraving shows a man with a knowing smile, curled wig, and quill in hand, surrounded by books. Voltaire's portraits always carry a spark of mischief and razor-sharp wit. He was one of the leading voices of the Enlightenment, a fierce critic of the church and monarchy, and a champion of civil liberty, satire, and reason. His works, including Candide, are still read today for their humor and insight. Voltaire returns as a sharp-dressed figure with a tablet in one hand and a sly smirk, perhaps typing his next viral takedown of injustice on social media. Denis Diderot. A thoughtful sketch shows a man surrounded by books and diagrams, deep in conversation with unseen colleagues. This image captures the collaborative spirit of the man who helped compile the world's first great encyclopedia. Denis Diderot was a French philosopher and writer who served as chief editor of the Encyclopédie, a monumental work of Enlightenment thought that aimed to gather and spread all human knowledge. In the AI rendering, Diderot is seated in a co-working space filled with digital screens, organizing information with purpose, still passionate about democratizing knowledge for the world. Jean-Jacques Rousseau. A romantic oil painting shows a contemplative man in rustic clothes standing beneath a tree, gazing into the distance. Rousseau's portraits often evoke a man at odds with society searching for authenticity. Jean-Jacques Rousseau was a philosopher and writer whose ideas about freedom, education, and the social contract helped inspire the French Revolution. He believed that civilization corrupted natural goodness and sought to return to simpler truths. AI reimagines Rousseau in a forested park, wearing eco-conscious clothing, notebook in hand, still questioning society and dreaming of a freer world. David Hume. A formal portrait shows a man in bright red robes, gold trim, and a soft expression that hides razor-sharp logic. This portrait represents Hume's dual reputation: respectable on the outside, revolutionary in his ideas. David Hume was a Scottish philosopher known for his empiricism, skepticism, and influential works on human understanding. He challenged religious orthodoxy and questioned whether causation could be truly known. In the AI update, Hume stands as a casual academic in jeans and a blazer, explaining philosophy with clarity and charm, a podcast mic nearby still shaking up how we think. Immanuel Kant. A stiff oil painting shows a stern man in powdered wig and uniform standing beside thick tomes of logic and ethics. This image reflects Kant's intense structure and moral seriousness. Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher whose critique of pure reason reshaped Western thought. He developed the idea that our perceptions shape reality and that moral action must follow universal laws. Kant is reimagined as a meticulous professor with neatly organized notes, dressed in minimalist fashion, standing before a chalkboard filled with abstract concepts, still teaching us how to think critically and ethically. From the stars above to the deepest truths of human nature, these thinkers redefined what it means to understand the world. Their work shaped science, reason, politics, and ethics, pushing humanity toward the modern age. And now, thanks to AI, we can meet them face-to-face, reimagined for today, but timeless in their wisdom. If you enjoyed seeing these brilliant minds brought to life, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more AI history content, and drop a comment telling us who you'd like to see next.